Hey, so if you're a fiction writer, I know that some of you, like me, you like to write organically. Others insist on using an outline. Almost all writers, fiction writers, seem to want to use an outline. But if you do write organically, in other words, come up with a concept, a protagonist, maybe an antagonist as well, and then you set forth, what can happen is you write yourself into a corner. I've done that at least twice and had abandoned novels doing that, maybe 3 times. And heard Liz Moore interviewed on the New York Times Book Review. She's a mystery writer. She's got a new novel out called The God in the Woods, about a serial killer and a missing person and so on. She writes organically, and she gave a good piece of advice that might seem obvious, but it's not so obvious when you're in the middle of it. Though she writes organically, she says that she always fears that she's going to end up writing herself into a corner or into a dead end. But she says you just have to remind yourself that somewhere along the line you took a fork in the road. Go back to that fork. Go back to that fork and take a different fork and see if it works out. See if there's any juice there. Isn't that the way we work with characters anyway in stories? We set out in a direction. If it works, we forge ahead. If it doesn't work, then we double back and we have a change of circumstance or what have you, taking a different fork in that road. So good piece of advice from Liz Moore, who's doing really well with her new novel, again, The God in the Woods. She was just interviewed on the New York Times Book Review podcast. Good advice for those of us who want to write organically, but oftentimes instead use an outline because we fear that we're going to get ourselves in some writing trouble.